Hello, everyone. I hope you are doing well. Uh, so we get a reaction video for the first time in a while. Let me know if you can hear me. Tristan said he completely
No,
changed how the sound worked.
the
So,
video.
oh,
It's
the
the
video.
video.
Tristan completely changed how the video works. So let me know if you can hear Simon. But anyway, if you do not recall, we actually set the puzzle that Simon is doing on stream. So you'll see it is attributed to zetamath and friends. So that is all of you. So we'll have a link down below in the description to the link of us setting this puzzle as well. And it's actually also on the LMD page. Every puzzle we've set together, I've been putting a link to the video with a timestamp on LMD to where we set it together. Also, I really enjoy that this title refers to me as the Sudoku Moriarty. I could go with being the Sudoku Moriarty. I'm happy with that. So let's see how the sound is. Let me know. Okay, I think I can bump it down just slightly for my own sanity.
Hello and welcome to Wednesday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic, where I'm rather delighted to tell you that the testers have sent me a puzzle. Well, it's called Dovetail, and it's by zetamath and friends. Now, it's daunting enough, frankly, to have to do battle with just zetamath, whose IQ must be somewhere in the sort of Einsteinian echelons, but friends as well. I feel like I'm doing battle with an arch group of Sudoku villains in the nicest sense.
Excellent,
and
excellent.
Goodness only knows how this is going to go. It's quite a long rule set today, I've noticed, and I forgot again. I meant to look this up on Logic Masters Germany before I turned on the webcam, just to get a sense for how difficult it is, but I have no idea. Okay. You'll have to judge it off the length of the video, I'm afraid. But yeah, we'll have it.
Here I thought I'd had my villain arc in the Sudoku world early, but apparently I get to have a villain arc with all of you now, so that's very exciting. To do that, let's see. Did you post about this on the Discord, by the way, Tristan? It looks like no. Can you post about this on the Discord? Oh no, never mind. Sorry, it's there. Sorry, it is. Okay.
We'll have a go at this in a moment or two's time. For many of you, I'm not sure how many people will be watching at this time. Certainly our normal UK viewers might be distracted by a football game that's going on at the moment.
No.
But I hope not. I hope you know where your priorities lie. Anyway, what do I have to tell you about before we kick off today? Let me think. Over on Patreon, we have got lots and lots of bonus stuff at the moment. We've got our monthly competition, which is running for another 10 days, which is Pause Sudoku Hunt. We've already had thousands of entries for that. Loads and loads of you managing to finish a hunt and enter a competition of ours for the first time. So well done to Pause for setting the difficulty on the hunt at exactly the right level. We've also got My Solve of Fistimafel's. Well, it's a new Fistimafel puzzle, but it's actually an example puzzle for a main event that I do intend to try at some point. But the example puzzle in its own right is absolutely magnificent. So if you haven't had a chance to go and find that and check it out, you definitely should. And Mark's been posting a bit of extra content over on Patreon as well. His connection solves, and I think there's a crossword video that's gone live today as well. So all sorts of bonuses over at our Sudoku clubs. Couple of bucks a month to join us there. And I've got birthdays to do. 3 birthdays today. We'll start off with Ben. Ben, your girlfriend Danielle wrote to us, and I will tell you that email only just arrived in time. So well done, Danielle, for remembering. I think the email was stuck in your outbox or something. But Ben, many happy returns. I hope you have an absolutely brilliant birthday today with an enormous amount of chocolate cake. And then we'll turn to Joe. Joe, you've turned 28 today, and I know this because your spouse Sky wrote to us. And Sky is clearly so proud of you, Joe. Wrote in great detail.
He does look very crisp.
About the positive effect you have on Sky's life. And Joe, we wish you very many happy returns, and I hope you also managed to avail yourself of chocolate cake. I haven't been advised today, by the way, on any of these birthdays, what chocolate cake is in store for any of the birthday recipients. But finally, Milo. Milo, you've turned 21 today. What an important birthday that is. I know this because Emma wrote to us and told us that you love watching. So, Milo, thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great birthday today. And that said and done, let's get cracking and have a look at Dovetail by Zetamath and Friends, and these are the rules of the puzzle. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we've got to put the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and every 3x3 box. Additionally, in this puzzle, digits cannot repeat on a line, and cannot repeat on a line is in capital letters. Okay. I guess there are.
It's funny.
There
It's
are
not on.
actually
It's
several
not in capital letters
opportunities where
on ours,
digits
but-
could repeat on these lines. They do venture outside their 3x3 boxes and go wandering. So, okay, we've got to remember digits cannot repeat on a line.
So just to give you a background of where this puzzle idea came from. So not that long ago, I set a puzzle called Exclusivity, and that puzzle had the rule that for each clue type, digits could not repeat on that clue type. And I used a bunch of clue types there, but I did not use region sum lines. And I noted that there was something pretty interesting about that you could do with region sum lines that maybe involved some sort of mod 3 thing or something like that. So I sort of started, when I brought this to my stream and said, hey, we're going to set a puzzle, I was thinking I was going to be setting Exclusivity to Electric Boogaloo with region sum lines. But then it sort of morphed over time of like, what exactly do I want the rule to be? And it ended up being that the rule was just as simple as that, of just like each line digits can't repeat on. And so you'll notice, and I'm quite pleased with this, every line on the grid, in principle, digits could repeat on by their regular clue type. We just don't, but that additional rule here ends up doing a lot of work. So we tried to make it as we set this, so that we end up using that a lot. Hey, Garion, how are you doing? But anyway, so that's going to end up being a very important component of this, even though it doesn't look important.
Grey line can be broken into non-overlapping segments, each of which sums to 10. E.g., 71246 is a valid fill for a length 5 line because it can be broken into 712 and 46.
Fun fact, I originally, when I wrote the rules for this, I wrote just my usual rules for 10 lines, and in my usual rules for 10 lines, I'm quite explicit that digits can repeat, and so my usual example has digits repeating. And so I think my original example might have been 71255 or something like that. And someone in the comments to the LMD page said, maybe for this puzzle, your 10-line example shouldn't involve repeating digits. So I went and changed it so my 10-line example did not involve repeating digits. But I thought that was amusing, that I did not think about it, but it was clearly a good idea.
Each of which sums to 10. So we've only got one of those lines here. Okay, so we have to break this line down into segments, each of which sums to 10, without a repeated digit, remember, in this one. Along a green line, adjacent digits must differ by at least 5. So this is a German Whispers line. I mean, what more can we say about that? If that's a 1, this square here has to be at least 6, because it needs to be at least 5 different from 1. So 6, 7, 8, and 9 would be the options. Next. Along a blue line, we've got 2 blue lines. The 3x3 box borders divide the line into segments. Each segment's digits sum to the same total. And different lines may have different totals. Okay, so what that is telling us is that if you let's look at this blue line. Those 3 cells, you add them up, and you should get the same as if you add up those 3 cells, and you should get the same as if you add up those 2 cells. So that's how region sum lines, that's what they're normally called, they work. I might actually, assuming I can solve the puzzle and I finish it, I may put in an example there just to make that clear, because I think sometimes with the wording of region sum lines rules, an example sort of clarifies them. Okay, so let me find the next bit of rules. The sum of the digits along a line connecting two circles, oh, I see, we have got one of those, is equal to the sum of the digits in the circles. In this puzzle, digits can't repeat in any of these 5 cells. Ah, okay. Okay, so what that's saying is that those 3 cells sum to those 2 cells. But in this puzzle, what we're being told is in addition to that, because we have this no digits repeat on lines rule, all of those digits are different numbers. So that is something we're going to have to bear in mind. Now, next row, there's still quite a few rules actually. Any 3 adjacent digits along a teal line must include one digit.
I'm really delighted, by the way. So I really like setting puzzles with this sort of like potpourri of rule sets. And the thing that Simon and Mark always say is that they really prefer not to do puzzles with this kind of rule set because it makes them less sort of user friendly. But I'm really grateful and happy that they often indulge my pathology that makes me like these kinds of things. Like Simon has done an awful lot of my sort of potpourri-esque puzzles, which I greatly appreciate. Although this one, I feel like this one is even more potpourri-ish than my average potpourri-ish puzzle. But Logan has discovered that 64217 is a zip code for a city called Not in Use. Beautiful.
Digit from 147, one from 258, and one from 369. So these are sometimes called modular lines. So these squares here, actually they're both length 4 lines. For some reason that one looks much longer. But what that means is, let's say that this one was from 258. Let's put 258 there. This one then couldn't be from the 258 set. So it's either from the 147 set or the 369 set. And then this one, because any set of 3 adjacent digits needs to have one of each type, would have to be a 369.
That's
and then look at
longer.
those 3. This would have to be a 258 again, because there hasn't been a 258 in those 3. So it's a weird rule. Modular lines are weird. Any 3 adjacent digits along a peach line, so we've got a peach line, must include one digit from 123, one from 456, and one from 789. So this is exactly the same as the modular line, except the digits we can choose from this time.
By the way, when I posted this, I posted a version that looks like this and a version where each one of these lines is labeled. In case you have any sort of color issues with the various sorts of colors here. So if you want, you can, if you're unclear about it, you can certainly pull up the version where they're each labeled, just so that you can have that if you're unsure about what any of these lines are. By the way, I should say I usually really do not like modular lines. Oh, good, someone mentioned that in the comments. Good. I was like, I remember doing that, but yeah, these are all the standard colors, and I know the standard colors kind of try, but I mean, there's just no way you can draw a teal line, which is what modular lines are usually described as, that doesn't look very similar to either German whispers or region sum lines. So, and like the red lines don't have a completely standard meaning. Like I always use them to mean the same thing, but not everyone does. So it's always good to be aware of that. So I have tried a bunch of things, but I feel like just outright having a version of it where they're labeled is, I think, really helpful. Anyway, yeah, I was just gonna say I hate modular lines. That was basically the whole the whole thing I was gonna say. But here they, for reasons that you will see, it ended up being a really natural thing to combine with this this rule set. Plus, I tried to grab as many of the like normally digits can repeat kinds of rules as possible.
I'm a sort of middly, low, and high. So this would be a potential line, and then these 3 would have to include a middly. And then these 3 would have to include a low. So the line could look something like that, but it might not.
Yeah, Logan points out you can use different colors, and that's sometimes what I've done. So if you look at like one of my more recent Cracking the Cryptic features, it was called Crosswalk. I tried using a like set of colors that were as impossible, or that were as far apart as possible from a bunch of different views that Mixo had someone make, and I really liked those. but some people still said they had a hard time distinguishing some of them, and I just decided that the easiest way to make it so that they probably wouldn't is if I just outright labeled the line. So that was sort of what I went with. Another thing that people do sometimes is they make the lines different thicknesses, so that even if your two lines, you can't distinguish the color, you could say like, oh, one of them's really thick and one of them's much less thick. That can also be a good cue, although it works less well when there's this many colors sort of floating around.
Lines are possible. Along a red line, each pair of adjacent digits must contain one even and one odd digit. Right, so this is like a parity line. So if this square was odd, let's use orange for odd, this square would be even, and then this, in this domino, we'd need to have an odd digit, so it would go odd, even, odd. That's how parity lines work. 2 length 3 parity lines. I'm probably not going to start my solve there. You'll forgive me if that's a spoiler, but I'm probably not. Do have a go. Zetamath's puzzles are always brilliant. If you add Zetamath's friends, it's probably even more brilliant. The way to play is to click the link under the video as usual. But now, I get to play. Let's get cracking.
As you will see, these were the last clue added. When we actually were setting this, finding the disambiguating clue that looked not horrible was an eternal struggle. Like, it took, as I recall, a really long time, and I was super happy when this kind of aesthetic thing ended up working out.
Right. I'm sort of going through in my head. I'm thinking the region sum lines are most likely to be the starting point here. Well, yeah, I mean, especially as we're not allowed to repeat a digit on a line, are we? So, yeah, that's very interesting. That is very interesting. Yes, I know. Don't ever talk to me at a party. Although people have been known to do it, most people don't find it an edifying experience. I can talk about region sum lines and things like that at great length. I have many cheerful facts about the square of the hypotenuse. That's probably true. Anyway, let's think about this line. So this line, well, yeah, okay. Here is, I can use the secret on this line. Because there is a Sudoku
I would also
secret
talk to
that I
Simon
share
in the
with
party.
only my very favourite people. But if you're watching this video, you're definitely one of my favourite people. And the secret of Sudoku is that the sum of the digits, the sum of all the Sudoku digits 1 to 9, is 45. Now, this is an 8-cell line, and it contains all of the digits, because we can't repeat a digit on this line, it contains all of the digits apart from 1. But the remaining digits that are left on the line have to be divisible by 3, don't they? Because these 2 cells add up to the same as those 2 cells, add up to the same as those 3 cells. And that means, because 45 is itself divisible by 3, the digit that's missing from this region sum line must also be divisible by 3, so that the remaining digits left on the line can sum to a number that's divisible by 3. So this line is missing a 3, 6, or a 9. Now here is an interesting thought. That digit is obviously not on this line, but it also sees the entirety of this line. That digit there, which is on.
This is very similar, I suppose, to the break-in to exclusivity of, but I always love this this sort of thing of when you have a digit that sees a whole bunch of different digits. That always really intrigues me. So, like, this is a step you will see in some guise or another in an awful lot of my puzzles.
On a green line. So, yeah. So we can think. Okay, so one way of considering it is that those cells together, let me just highlight them all, those blue cells I've just highlighted are an extra set of the digits. That they are like a 3x3 box.
Oh, please let him turn this into a set
not
puzzle.
in a 3x3 box. Those digits are the digits 1 to 9 once each. And because this digit is the digit that's not on the line, this digit is a 3, 6, or a 9, it's not a 6, because this is a German whispers line. And each digit on a German whispers line must be at least 5 different from its friends, its neighbours. Let's imagine this was a 6. What would we put into those two squares? Well, the answer in both cases is the digit 1, because 6 only partners up with a 1. It's the only Sudoku digit that's 5 away from 6. And we can't put 2 1s in box 1. So this square here is 3 or 9. And therefore...
Now, I think it was Sayori that figured out how to set up this next step, because the next step is really mind-blowing to me, and I really liked it. And I think, I don't 100% swear, but I think it was Sayori in chat who sort of saw how to use... Maybe we had to bend this geometry a little bit to combine the German whisper digits that are here and here with the region sum line.
And therefore, but we can now work out at least the possible segment totals for this region sum line, because if 3 is not on this line, then the remaining 8 digits will sum to 45 minus 3, which is 42, which means each segment will sum to 14. But if this is 9, then the remaining digits here will sum to 36, and each segment will sum to 12. 36 divided by 3 being 12. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to work out how I know which of those is true, or whether indeed we're meant to look somewhere else. 12 or 14. 14 is much more constrained. If it's 14, this isn't 9, is it? No, if this is 3, if it's 14, which doesn't put pressure on this domino. Although this would be an 8-9 pair. So if that's 3, this is an 8-9 pair. That digit has to appear on this region sum line, and it would appear down here, because it couldn't be in any of those squares by Stoker. It's quite interesting. The geometry here is quite interesting. But if that's 9... Oh, I see. Right. Wow. Okay. That is very peculiar and really rather lovely. Okay. Well, I'm not surprised, but I am surprised by the deduction. I'm not surprised by the loveliness of it. Okay. I might be able to prove this isn't 9, because if this is 9, then I know that each segment on this line sums up to 12. And I want to look at this one, because what is this digit? And the answer on the face of it is 1, 2, 3, or 4, because it needs to be 5 different from 9. So it's 1, 2, 3, or 4 on the green line. But whatever this digit is, let's make it orange. Whatever this orange digit is, it must appear on the region sum line, because the 8 digits that are not 9 are on this line somewhere. So orange is here somewhere, in a segment that sums up.
I'm really
to
impressed
12.
that he saw this so quickly, by the way.
What should we make orange? We can't make it 1, because that will require an 11. We can't make it 2, that will require a 10. We can't make it 3, because that will require a 9, and Sudoku will break. And we can't make it 4, because 4 is lovely. This can be a 4-8 pair, but once we make this 4, we run into the same problem that we had when we made this 6. 4 only partners up with 9 on the line. We get 2 9s in box 1. Isn't that's really clever? So, right. So that means this square is a 3. Okay, and that's going to do the work, isn't it? Because now we can effectively polarity shade this green line. One of the secrets of green lines, there's a few secrets. They can't have 5 on them. That's one secret, because no digit is 5 away from 5 that you can put into a Sudoku. The next the next thing we know is that the digits must alternate between higher and lower than 5. And you can see that for yourself, because imagine you tried to put 2 digits the same side of 5 in adjacent positions. So let's try and, if we make this 9 and you then make this 6, which is obviously on the same side of 5 but as far away from 9 as possible, they're only 3 apart. It's not enough. So this digit has to be 1 or 2 actually, not 4, because that would put double 9 here. Oh, hang on, we're not allowed to repeat a digit, are we? So this digit is 6 or 7. Okay, and now that digit there, which is a high digit, again, it still has to appear in this domino. That logic has not departed the scene. So this domino adds up to 14, because 3's been left off the line. So it's all the digits on it sum to 42. 42 divided by 3 is 14. This is either 8, 6 or 5, 9.
There was indeed a reaction stream.
Yeah, this is already... doesn't quite work.
I've been more consistent over time about having reactions. It's very fun to have reaction streams to these puzzles, so it's hard to resist. So I have started... I used to sort of do it when it was convenient, but now I just make sure to always do it.
There's already quite a lot of intimidating Sudoku going on here. For example, there's a 5 or a 6 on here. I don't know how to do this. I'm going to have to start shading, I think. Let's do some... Oh no, that's a terrible choice. Green. I'm going to make green the 5 or the 6 that lives on here. That
we had to be careful and remember that we're dealing with an arch villain.
In box 1, because it can't repeat on this region sum line. Now then, where does it go in this box? And the answer is it goes in one of those squares. On this other region sum line, because it can't repeat on its own line, it's already appeared on this line, so it can't repeat again, and it can't repeat in its own row.
I'm glad he's thinking about this now, because it maybe means that he will get the downright psychopathic step with the 10 line that is forthcoming. Because there is something that just tickled me beyond belief, but also is like genuinely cruel with the 10 line that involves this sort of logic.
This digit, on the other hand, let's make that yellow for a moment, that also needs to make a debut appearance on this region sum line.
Debut appearance,
Sudoku,
I love
it's
it.
not in any of those squares, so it is in one of these squares, which means it is going on the grey line. What was this grey? It wasn't a palindrome, was it? No, it can't be a palindrome because no lines have a repeated digit on them. So palindrome's definitely ruled out. It's a 10 line. Okay, this is a 10
That would have
line,
been a very fun reaction.
which now
to be
has a big old digit on it, an 8 or a 9. Okay. Now,
Simon and Mark are the
to
best.
think about sort of the maths. If this has got 8 or 9 on it, this adds up to 14. It doesn't feel massively restricted. If it was 9, it would be 914 because it couldn't have a 3 on it. If it was 8, it would be 815.
Yeah, the 9 in the middle would be really fun.
No, actually it wouldn't be. Okay, I see. No, it wouldn't be 815. Because that would make this impossible. Oh, this is it's very interesting actually. Remember, this adds up to 14, so it's either 5 and 9 or it's 6 and 8. So if I was to put 5 and 8 here, that doesn't work. That kills both of these options. So this is either 2, 4, 8, or it's 9, 1, 4.
It's interesting. I would have thought about these 3 first, because these 3 can't be 8 or 9 and they need to be big. So the 5-6 point, or the point here, is still very relevant. But I would have thought first about, okay, does there need to be a 7 here, and then what does that mean about my life, and that kind of question.
Whoopsie. Oh, hang on. What I wanted to do there was to make sure that always had 4 on it, and I don't know what happened with my mouse, but it slipped and I lost my army. So now 4, right, so now 4 isn't in these 3 squares, so 4 is up there with the 5 or the 6 with the green digit. Now
He got to the
is on
point,
the
which
10
there's always a
line down
4 on
here,
there.
along with 8 or 9, which it definitely can't cozy up with, can it? So there's a 4 here, and an 8 or a 9, and I'm not sure. Do I know what this one is? This is another of these region sum lines. This has got 7 cells, but it only visits 2 boxes. Now 45 is odd, so the 2 digits missing from this region sum line must sum to an odd number, mustn't they? So that, if you like, the line total will then be even and capable of being divided by 2. And that is not very useful. This is a bit concerning, because I don't see how to do anything with this line. Modular lines and entropic lines are just very, very
that is the point, 57 Thorns, is that yes, the fact that the number here is specifically 4 and the total of this line is 14 is very relevant, because it means that the sum of the other 2 digits on this is 10, which is why there's a 10 line over here. It was just like the purest serendipity, and the fact that it sort of worked out so that we could do this.
They're sort of namby-pamby constraints. They don't do very much. At least I don't think they do. This is a double arrow. Double arrows are things. They're creatures you don't see in the wild very often. But I mean, if that was minimal, that would be 1, 2, 3. These would have to add up to 6. Or if these are, I mean, suppose the maximum there is 17. There's loads of stuff this could be. Oh, I suppose no. Okay, 1, 2, 3 doesn't work, does it? Because I'm not allowed to repeat a digit on this. I mustn't forget that. So it's probable this is a bit bigger. But if it is a bit bigger, then there's no pressure on these 3 digits. No. Okay, so it's something, whatever's going on is going on, I think, maybe on the 10 line, although I don't relish the thought of the 10 line. I suppose a 5-cell 10 line, which can't have a repeated digit on it, I think that's probably got to be split up into a 2 and a 3, i.e. a 2-segment and a 3-segment. But obviously you don't know whether, or I don't know, whether it's those 2 plus those 3, or these 2 plus those 3. It can't be split up into a 4 and a 1, because the 1 would have to be a 10. And it can't be split up into a 5, because 5 different digits in Sudoku do not add up to 10 ever. They add up to at least 15. And knowledge
Purple
bomb
is hidden
has
in
more
row
than
10.
10. So it's a
Spoilers,
2 and a 3.
Logan.
And okay, and the yellow digit is part of the 2, because we can't add 2 digits to 8 or 9 and keep the total down to 10. So the 8 or the 9 is not in the middle. Either this is 8 or 9, and this is 1 or 2, or this is 8 or 9, and this is 1 or 2. Which might be interesting. This is tricky. So, I'm sorry. I'm not. I haven't
Yeah,
got this yet, have
he's
I?
he's
Whatever
clearly
that
like
digit
his
is.
subconscious is telling him, I really
Does
need to
that
pay attention to
digit...
this. Because it's very interesting watching him sort of slowly, like it's amazing that his subconscious definitely has identified that this is the important thing, even though he hasn't quite figured out why yet, but he's definitely
Yeah,
there.
that digit. Let's think about that digit. I haven't thought about that digit at all. I'll make it red. So that digit also needs to make a debut on the region sum line. So it is part of this sequence. And it is therefore by Sudoku up here. And it is a very low digit. So these digits... Oh, they have to include a 7, do they? I've not put 7 into this box.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah,
David.
okay.
Yeah,
So
he's got that sort of like intuition, which is sort of razor sharp to sort of identify like something is here, which is very cool to
this is a
watch.
7, and then either a 1 and a 6, or a 2 and a 5. But how do we know which of those is true? And the answer is, I don't know yet. At least I don't think I do. Sorry, I'm not seeing this yet. So there's a green digit here, which is a 5 or a 6. That goes up here, it goes on here, it goes in one of these 3. And then this region sum line is either... Okay, so 4 on this region sum line is part of the 3-cell sequence, isn't it? In which you can't repeat a digit, right? So this line has got a 4 on it with, I want to say, a 1-5 pair, because how do you make 2 more digits add up to 6 if you can't repeat the 4? You must use 1 and 5. Right. But how do we do that then? So I don't know. I don't quite know how. I can't see how to tell which way round it goes. Is it 4, 1, 5? So this has got 4. Oh, hang on. Oh, I see. No, I've got it. I've got it. No, it's
There
easy.
we go.
Oh, it's easy and beautiful. Right. This does have 4, 1, 5 on it, either here or here. But therefore it has 1 on it in that sequence of 4, 1, 5.
Oh, okay. He's seen something completely different.
When we put the yellow digit on here in a domino that adds up to 10, we can't use 9, can we? Because then there'll be a second 1 on this line.
Okay, so he's going to see this.
Sorry, I was forgetting the rule that
he's going to see this more.
So this has got to be an 8 now.
In 2
this
pieces.
has got to be a 9. So this is now a 5-9 pair, which means these 2 squares don't include 6, I'm going to claim. So these are now 4 and 5.
I think he's going to have done
now
2 steps in my solve path out of order, because now he's going to see, 2-8 looks at this, so the 2-8 has to be over down here. But I did it as just, this domino sums to 10, breaking it over here.
So it does. So it has got 8 on it, and it needs to add to 14 without using 1, 5. Yes, that's right. So that's going to be 8, 2, 4. And now we should be able to work out these digits, because they're the other digits in the world. And those digits are 7, 1, 6, I think. Which means this digit is a 2, which means this digit is a 7, because 2 can't go next to 6 on the whisper. And now 5 is in one of these squares. And 5 is in one of these squares. 5 can't go there. Because if that was a 5, we couldn't put 5 on here, but we know that there is a 5 on there. I mean, it could be here, if this can be a 1-4 pair, or it could be here, if this can be a 1-4 pair. And we know that there's a 2 and an 8, don't we, as well? Oh, lovely. Right. Okay, look, 2 and 8 are on this string, so we can't start with a 2-8 domino on this side of the 10 line. It won't work because this digit can be neither 2 or 8. So this is 2. This is a 2-8 pair. There's a 2 looking at it. So that's 2. That's 8. Therefore, this seems to have to be the 4. No, that's not true. Because that's not true
Yellow
at all. Because yellow, I was thinking that I displaced a yellow, but yellow was the digit 8. So actually, I haven't got that deduction. These are 1, 4, and 5. And 4 we know is 4 we know is on the line down here. Oh, 5 is on this line. Gosh, there's far too much Sudoku in this puzzle. Okay, so
sorry, Simon.
Now we've got some.
I'll try to put less Sudoku in the puzzles.
This is very clever.
Suppose lately I have mostly set puzzles that aren't Sudoku, so that they have less Sudoku in them.
This is 6-7 pair. So now I can... this is great. So now I can work out these digits on this region sum line, and presumably that's going to be helpful. 3, 9, and 8. No, not 8. That doesn't work. What's the other digit that I'm not seeing? 5, is it? Oh, so this is 17. Right. So this is also 17. Which means that the total of this line is 34. So the digits missing from the line add up to 11. And they are, well, they're not 3 and 8, they're not 5 and 6, and they're not 2 and 9, because they are already on the line. So there's no 4 or 7 on this line. So it's got all the other digits on it, which I think are those, and that does add up to 17, which is lovely. And that's not a 2. So, how has that helped us? 7 by Sudoku is now in one of these squares. So 7 is on the peach line, which was the... Hang on, let's go back and have a look. The peach line is an entropic line. So that means we're dealing with 1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, 6s, and 7s, 8s, 9s on this line. But okay, but 7 is on this line, so 7 can't be on it twice. That is something, that is a
Good
principle
Sudokuing.
that we have to get into our brains, or I have to get into my brain. 2 is in one of those squares, so 2 is in one of these squares, 2 is in one of these squares, actually. Now, if we could get the 2 to be there, this parity line, but at least we'd know how it oscillated. Now what do we do? 2 is up here by Sudoku. 4, 1. Oh, we can do these digits. These are 1, 1, 6, 7, aren't they? That doesn't help us though. So these digits over on this side of the piece are 2,
I
9,
think pencil marks are help, aren't they?
3 potentially, I think. And these digits seem to have to be a 6, 7 pair.
I do agree
that's
with that,
not a
David.
2.
I don't think it was a very deliberate thing here, but I definitely like them to be. David was saying they like when lengths of entropic and modular lines aren't multiples of 3. So yeah, I definitely also like that. I don't know that it was completely deliberate here, but definitely I agree about the aesthetic preference.
By dint of Sudoku. I think I'm going to get rid of my red highlighting. I'm not sure what purpose it's serving. And I'm going to get rid of my yellow highlighting as well. And Maverick is about to blast past. I don't often do this, actually, decolor puzzles, but for some reason I'm finding it quite hard to to pick up the digits here. Hello, Maverick. How are you? Right. Right. Where do we look now? I don't know. Goodness me. So, is it going to be to do with... I don't know. Sorry. I haven't got this at all, have I? Okay, let's look at this line, because I've spotted one thing that's interesting on this line. And that is that I don't think, well, this 7 sees the whole of the line. And this 1 and the 1 on this region sum line also see the whole of the line. Now there must be, on a modular line, we're dealing with 1s, 4s, 7s, 2s, 5s, 8s, 3s, 6s and 9s. So there must be, because there's 4 cells on this, at least one of the cells must be from 1, 4, 7. And in fact now it must be only 1, mustn't it? Because you can't repeat a digit on these lines. So if I was to make this from the 1, 4, 7 set, it would be a 4. But then this would also have to be from the 1, 4, 7 set and couldn't be anything, because it would have to be this by Sudoku. Because it couldn't be 1 or 7, and that would repeat a digit on the line. So there is definitely a 4 in one of these 2 squares. That's the world's worst deduction. Sorry, that's not very clever, is it? Oh dear, right.
It's great restraint to just not pencil mark the 4 candidates in these 2 cells.
What are you meant to do with this?
I would have done that in a heartbeat.
Oh, I see. That's very peculiar indeed. Right. There's some sneaky Sudoku to be done, isn't there, in this row? This is outrageous. Okay. Okay, because one of these... Okay, so this is the lesson we're going to take away from this. Whenever we get any deduction, we're going to work that deduction much harder. Because the moment I can see that one of these is a 7, I could have instantly said, okay, well, 8s and 9s cannot go into these squares then, can they? Because if I was to put an 8 or a 9 as well as a 7 in this triumvirate, I would clearly break the entropy rules, which say that in any 3-cell sequence, I can only have 1 high digit. So where's 9 in this row? Well, one of these is a 9, so that can't be a 9, and that can't be a 9. None of these can be a 9, and none of those can be a 9, so that's a 9, and that is what I should have noticed. And now, okay, so now I'm getting used to this, because now, where... Oh no, that doesn't work. Oh, bobbins. Hang on. Oh, I got hopeful there for a moment.
You're there, Simon, you're there.
Yeah, okay. Well, hang on, that's very nearly broken, but I think it's okay. Yes. So now let's return to this line again. So this 5 is now... Oh, in fact... Oh, I've just seen something else that's distracted me. Oh, no, hang on. I've got to work on this line first. 5 is in one of these squares. No, it's definitely not in any of these squares. Sorry, this 5 rules 5 out of all of those squares. Okay. But 2 is also not possible to be placed on this modular line. So that means that the only digit from the 2, 5, 8 set that could go on this line is 8. But it must have one of those digits. So that, I think, must be an 8, because I've got an 8. I can't make either of these an 8. I can't make this an 8, or this would also be an 8. So I think that is an 8, and that is therefore a 4. Which means this is not an 8. It means there is an 8 in one of these, so there is an 8 in one of these. Ah! It means these two are both from the 369 set. So I'm just going to label that up and see what we can do with that. That can't be 9. That can't be 6. These can't repeat, can they? So they can't both be 3. That can't be 4. Let's pay attention here. We're dealing with arch villains here.
Excellent.
Yeah, okay, let me go back to the other thought I was having then, which is where
the other
is
thought
5
will be very
in
helpful.
this box? And the answer is, isn't this the same as the 7 point that we did earlier? So 5 is in one of those, which by Sudoku means 5 is actually in one of these two, which by not being able to repeat on its line makes this little domino have to be 5s and 7s only. Which means that this square... Oh no, because it's not a modular. This one's not modular. But this is 3 or 9 now. Which, yeah, that means that the third digit along this digit is... Well, this... Oh, I see. It can't be 5. Right. This is very clever. This is lovely setting. Because, okay, we worked out one of these is 5. But this one has the same entropy as this one. So if this was 5, this should be middly, and it can't be middly. So that's got to be... We've got a middly 5 there. There are now no more middly digits on this entropy line.
Until absolutely nothing else comes up, I think, Ron.
Either a low digit, and if it was low, it would be a 1, because it couldn't be a 2, and it couldn't repeat the 3, because if I make this low, this is also low. If this is high... This has to be 7, doesn't it? Because I know there's a 7 in one of these two positions. So this is 1 or 7. Well, I don't really know. How to do that. That looks... Okay, this is not an 8, I've noticed, because I've got an 8 here. So 8 is in one of these. Yeah, I see. Okay, so where's 4 in this box? Now remember, we've got our middly digit, our only middly digit on this on the peach line. So this is a 4-8 pair, which means 4 in column 7 is on the funny line, whatever that's called, double arrow line. And for our next trick... What's this one? This is back to modular lines now. No, I don't know. That one is the same as that one. These are both...
We definitely can,
both low,
Nicholas.
Or they're both high. So if they're both high, they are a 7-9 pair in a very specific order, which is very difficult, but it is possible. So if these are both high, they can't be 8, can they? So they have to be 7 and 9, and this would have to be the 9, and this would have to be the 7. So that's one option, but they could both be low. Now if they're both low, they have to be a 1-3 pair. I'm just trying to see if I can tell in which way round they would be. I'm not sure I can. So this line... No, it doesn't quite work. I mean, this line it has got a sort of quadruple on it. A 1, 3, 7, 9 quadruple. But I don't think... Well, these squares are the ones that could see the whole of this line. But I've already pencil marked them, so I'm not sure I mean, that digit's up there somewhere. That seems to be true. And oh, I see. No, it's much easier than that. Where's 6 in this box? 6 is there, isn't it? So this has become a 1, which means these squares have become 2, 6, and 8. How can that not do anything?
It does so much, Simon. It does so much. Believe in the Sudoku. Believe in the triple. Looking left.
What's going on? How can you get this digit and get... Oh, 2, 6, 8 there does that one. Okay, that's very helpful. Let me just check that. That does seem right. 2, 6, 8's looking at this. Okay, so that becomes 3, but that gives us this one because we can't repeat a 3 on the line now. So that becomes a 3. That's going to be huge. That's going to be the key step, at least for this line, because now I know the entropy of these two is the same. So this has to be 1, that has to be 7, that has to be 9. I should be able to get this digit if I'm not mistaken. That seems to have to be 4. 5, 4 by a process known as Sudoku. Now,
It's a very Zeta puzzle to read basically left to right, top to bottom, basically like filling in every digit down to like a pair or a triple in the first 3 boxes, and then in the next 3 boxes without having really done anything at all in the bottom 3 boxes is a very common, not universal, but a very common path for one of my puzzles to take.
These squares are now 1, 2, and 6. Well, that's interesting. Because the only odd digit there is 1. Okay, well, it's sort of forced by Sudoku, isn't it? So 1 is in one of these, along with 2 or 6. It feels like that's resolved somehow, but I can't see why. Oh, come on. Now, that's not a 1. Oh, that is a 3. I was saying, can I do any more Sudoku? I can. Okay, so these 2 digits now I should be able to get. Shouldn't I? 3 and 6.
I recall there was some really cool math with this double arrow that got broken by some clue that was added later and made me a bit sad. But we'll see. Sometimes Simon manages to find the logic that ended up getting subverted anyway, so we'll see if he does something cool with the double arrow.
Okay, I might not be able to disambiguate them, but I can do the 1 and the 4 here though, which does the 4 and the 8. Right, so that's going to be helpful for this line, isn't it? Because that and that have the same modularity, and we can't repeat a digit on a line, so that's got to be a 2, because this is modular. 2s, 5s and 8s, and that gives me a 2 here and a 9 here. So in this column, I haven't put 3, 6, 3, oh, this is good, 3, 6, and 8. Where's 8 in the column? It can't go there because it would repeat its modularity too quickly and repeat itself on the line. So this is 3 or 6, which is from a modularity. It's from the 3, 6, 9 modularity. So this needs to be from the 1, 4, 7 modularity, the snooker maximum modularity. So this is a 7, that's a 7, that's a 6, that's a 6, that's a 3. This is very pretty. It's very pretty, this. Now, what have we got to put in here? 5 and 9. And these squares are 1, 4, and 6. Okay, so they add up to 11, which means these add up to 11. They're not 3, 8.
Yeah, but before this modular line was here, there was some really clever way, like this double arrow was down to 2 options, and there was some really clever way to decide that one of those didn't actually work because it forced you to repeat something in the circle. But then eventually, to disambiguate it, we needed to add something over here, and it just sort of it broke the requirement of that deduction.
I suppose you can't repeat a digit, can you? So these are 2, 9 actually, because they can't be 4, 7, 5, 6 or 3, 8 because we can't repeat a digit. I remember reading that in the rules. So these are 2 and 9. I can do the order. So that's 2, that's 9, that's 9, that's 5. This is not 2.
I'm very happy with how often that rule gets used, by the way. Like it would feel like kind of a waste if this puzzle had that rule and then it wasn't sort of integral to the solve, but it definitely keeps coming up over and over again, which is cool.
That is a 5 now by Sudoku. So that's a 3, that's a 9. Good grief. Does this keep going? I don't know, but I'm hopeful. What about... So everything is going to get resolved by these parity lines and naughty old Sudoku. 4,
How
6,
dare you, Sudoku?
4, 6, 7, 8. So that's a 4 or a 6. Yeah, okay, where's 7 in column 6? It has to go there. This becomes 1.
Yeah, I deliberately avoided using Renbon in this puzzle, despite the fact that Renbon are, of course, my favorite of all the lines, because you already can't repeat digits on Renbon, so it would feel a little silly to it would feel like a waste to use them in this puzzle. Uh, Maybe I should have had Renbon, but said you can repeat digits on Renbon in this puzzle.
6.
Ooh, go England.
I can't see how it's getting resolved. It's actually a bit surprising, this. There's going to be some weird cell, isn't there, that's much more restricted than I think it is. Is it?
Row 7, column 1.
I was wondering if I knew the parity of this one. I don't think I do.
You
I want
do.
to say that's either 1. Oh, it can't be 1, can it? Because I already know that 1 is on this line. I just don't know where. Okay. So this digit is quite big. It's 6 or 8. Oh, I see. So I know it's parity. That's so clever. I want to check that, though. I'm not sure I trust it. So from the column, this is 1, 3, 6, or 8, but it can't be 1. So it is 3, 6, or 8. And it can't be 3, so it is 6 or 8. It is even, so the cell above it needs to be odd and can only be a 1, apparently. So that's a 1. That gets me to a 2, 6 pair here. I feel like that must be resolved, but I can't see why. Okay, so what are these squares? 3, 6, and 8. 3, 6, and 8. And that's not 8. Okay. Have I forgotten a rule? That's very possible. What rule have I forgotten?
Hey, Selena.
I can't repeat digits on lines. Oh, is it that? No, it's not really that, is it? I mean, if I knew what this digit was, then yes. If that's a 6, that is forcing this to be a 2. If that's an 8...
Yeah, column 4 is sneaky in a very Zeta way.
I'm not sure. Okay, so we might have to look at something else. I mean, I can see, for what it's worth, which is probably little, that digit has quite a lot of trouble being odd. It would have to be a 7. Is there a reason that...
So the way I intended this is to note that there's a virtual quadruple of evens in column 4, because you know this digit is even and this digit is even. This digit is actually a 4. And by the parity line, you know one of these two is even, and so that's going to sort of resolve everything up here. If you look into my Sudoku brain, almost always the weird thing is either a virtual triple or a virtual quadruple. That kind of thing is sort of just my, I don't know, it tickles my brain.
Can't be a 7. That would make this odd. And this would be 1, 3, or 5. This would be even. It would be 6 or 8. All of that actually looks quite likely. So perhaps this is a 7. So can this be, oh, maybe I can do it the other way then. Is this possible for it to be, if this is even, it's 6. Okay, so this, oh, I see, and it can't be. Yes, it's easy. This digit is where I should have looked. I looked in the right place, but thought about it the wrong way. This digit here is not capable of being even, because there is a 6 in one of those squares, isn't there? And it sees 2 and 4 as well, and 8.
Yeah, and in my way of drawing this, I did the even digit in here first, and then that resolved this, and that made this a little bit easier, but this way works equally well. The sort of in the resolution, you can sort of resolve it either way.
See here or here. We take your choice about that. So that is odd, and I think the only thing it can be is 7. And that's going to do a lot, because it's going to give me a 7, a 6, a 6, a 2. You can't repeat 6 on this line. So I now get a 3, 6 pair here. Oh, nearly. Maverick's going to do another circle. Right, let's look at these digits. 1, 2, and 4. So 2 must go there. These digits are 5 and 9, which we can do the order of. This digit has to be odd, doesn't it? Let's do it. So what's this? This is 6 or 8.
Hey, Jim. Welcome.
I don't know. There's probably a way we're meant to know what that is. And that digit is not 7 or 9. 1, 3 or 5. 3. 1, 3 or 5. Okay.
Is he going to have to do the Sudoku anyway? He might have to do the Sudoku anyway.
7 is in one of those squares. And somehow or other, I'm meant to be able to
this was a
finish
puzzle
this
from a
now.
setting stream, right? Right, Jim.
Okay. I'm sure I can. I'm sure it's just... it's going to be some nonsense Sudoku that I've got to spot.
Sorry, Simon.
What's that digit? 1, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 3.
Or I guess I'm supposed to be
1, 4,
the
5, 6.
Sudoku villain now, so I shouldn't be sorry.
1, 4,
I should just
5,
laugh
6.
evilly and put my hands like this.
Well, I can't see how to resolve that. There's no rule about the ordering of the digits on the double arrow. I'm sure there isn't. I don't
Less
remember
apologizing,
reading
more
it,
cackling.
so I can't use that. Where is it then? Is it some naughty old Sudoku that I'm not seeing? This 2, is that doing something? No, I've done 2s. 7s, that's putting a 7 up here. I've done 9s. What about 8s? Can I do something clever with 8s? No. Something clever with 3s? Oh, nearly. Oh, yes. Okay, we can do something clever with 3s.
At this point, I'd have center marked everything. Yeah, I certainly couldn't have resisted.
This 3 here. Putting 3 here. Right. Oh, that's great. I've seen what that's doing. I'm going to delay that gratification for a moment. 6 goes here. Let's see if we can get to the end, and then I don't know if I'm going to dare wait. A 6 goes there. That gives me a 1-4 pair here. I know this is a 3. I'm just trying to delay putting it in. Okay. So this is an 8, isn't it? That's a 6. That's a 1. This is the 5 in this column has to go here. 5, 7, 7. Let's delete that nonsense now. These are a 1-5 pair, which we can put in. 1, 4, 4.
So offended by a pencil
6,
mark with 3 candidates
1.
in it.
That's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. Whoa! No one solved this before. Oh, well, that's very surprising. Is this brand new?
Oh, it's because I think the LMD page might only have the link to the version that has the title or has the labels on it. Is possibly what has happened, and so the testers might have made a version without the labels. Yeah. Okay, so the reason why it came up that way is that the link I actually made, or the version I had, only had them labeled, and I guess CTC didn't want them labeled, which is fine. So that is
it could
why.
well be, but anyway, I enjoyed it mightily. That was very, very clever indeed. Yeah, I mean, what more can you say? It just is that the idea around it's just a small twist on a normal rule or a normal set of rules, which is that you can't repeat a digit, but you can see how well it's been used in this puzzle. And it really has. It's almost it's used extensively in the first part of it, but it was used beautifully here, beautifully there, because we knew that this had to be, once we knew there was a 4 on it, we knew that had to then be 415, didn't we? Because it couldn't be 442.
So Jay points out that Sudoku Pad is actually pretty smart, and it tracks solves by title and author. So even if you make minor tweaks or whatever, it doesn't reset the thing, which is really smart. However, I stylized zetamath and friends with the word and when they entered it, they put in an ampersand, And so because it's an ampersand instead of and, it gets counted as a separate puzzle. So if you're curious, the original one has 87 solves on Sudoku Pad.
Otherwise could have been. Yeah, it's really smart. The whole thing is smart. It's very clever, start to finish. Loved it as always. zetamath and friends, thank you very much. Thank you for watching if you're still with me. Do remember to leave a comment. I enjoy the comments, especially when they're kind. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.
Well, thank you, everyone, for hanging out with me today. I feel like there was less to say maybe about this puzzle than the average one, although it really helps that sort of you have the Simon solve, and then you have the my reaction solve, and you also can go back and watch the video of me setting the puzzle with many of you in chat. So there's a lot of content, I suppose, for this specific puzzle, but that makes it more fun. This was a fun puzzle. I'm glad this got a feature. I guess it was like a month ago I submitted whatchamacallit. What was the 10-line puzzle called? I don't remember anymore. Yazi. There we go. I submitted Yazi, and I really, when I did that, I sort of weighed between, do I want to submit this, Dovetail, or the Order, all of which we set on stream and all of which I really liked. So I'm glad that this one, I did not submit this one, but I'm glad it made its way anyway. And I think there's still a chance the Order will sneak its way, do that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. But anyway, I've been really enjoying setting on stream, so I'm sure there will be many zetamath and friends puzzles in the future. Our recent string of puzzles have been pencil puzzles. We did a Pentominous Country Road puzzle, and a Philomeno Yajalin puzzle. So if you are interested in those, you can see them over on my LMD page. David, it's not that I don't explain the rules at all. I put the rules full listed on the LMD page is my usual style. But David points out the Sudoku Pad link, I don't have the rules spelled out. But I spell them out. I don't spell them out there so that I can spell them out even more verbosely on the LMD page. And so I usually do the okay, here's the standard rules. And also it makes it so that if someone does know them or knows all but one, they only have to read the one. So that's my usual strategy these days, is to sort of spell out everything. I used to not spell them out if I was trying to sort of communicate difficulty or something, but I've stopped doing that lately. I basically just always spell out everything. If there were some puzzle where it was really going to be crazy, if you didn't know, I might still do that. But lately, at least, I think my puzzles have been moderately accessible. Alrighty, but that's going to do it for stream today. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. This definitely surprised me. I did not have on my radar that this might happen today. So thank you for the gift, Simon, as always. I'm glad to see that you enjoyed the puzzle, and I'll see all of you. I'll stream again on Friday, and I'll do some puzzles of my own, and maybe we'll set something. We haven't had a setting stream in a little bit, so maybe this will be good inspiration for us to put together another puzzle. But anyway, thank you very much to everyone. Thank you to everyone who supports the stream. A big thank you to the Turbines, Daniel, David, Franco, Nell, Nordy, Plonktime, and DDX. So thank you, everyone, and I'll see everyone real soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.